Blender 4.4 just dropped, and it's being called the winter of quality, basically just cleaning up bugs and polishing pre-existing features. But hidden in all these small changes is a massive update that no one is talking about that tackles one of the biggest problems Blender has had since the very beginning, and that's their UI. Now, Blender 4.4 doesn't fix the UI entirely, but it's taking the first step to make Blender easier to use. So today we'll explore what changes have already been made to make Blender more intuitive, what plans there are for future UI development, and what other features were added in Blender 4.4 that make it so groundbreaking. Because the UI was not the only thing fixed in this update. It's called the winter of quality for a reason. There were over 700 bug fixes across essentially every single Blender function, plus numerous changes to video editing, animation, modeling, sculpting, rendering, grease pencil, and compositing, in addition to new video codecs and the experimental rollout of Vulkan. If you want a detailed breakdown of everything changed, you can go to Blender's official site, where they have a well thought out page that shows everything that they've done. But let's put 30 seconds on the clock, and I'll just showcase the highlights. They added animation action slots, which save animators a ton of time. Instead of having a different action editor for each object in a scene, they're each given a slot in the timeline, meaning you don't have to switch your workspace every time you're working on a new object. Modeling has gotten faster with easy pole selection and more function in the tries to quads operator. Sculpting got the plane brush, which combines the flatten, fill, and scrape brushes into one. The compositor is faster, and the glare node has more functionality. And the biggest changes outside of UI that I'm most excited about are the improvements to the video sequencer that allow easy text work, plus new codec support for H.265 and 12-bit video. All of these changes on their own make for an exciting update. Just because it doesn't have a flashy hype feature like an AI assistant doesn't mean it's not a necessary refresh. But these were not the only changes. Blender also began working on usability, which is one of its weak points. But usability and stability go hand in hand, because if your internet connection isn't secure, everything else we've talked about is a moot point. That's where today's sponsor, CyberGhost VPN, comes in. With over 38 million users worldwide and 20,000 excellent reviews on Trustpilot, it's one of the best VPNs out there. So let me quickly tell you why CyberGhost is such a great choice. A VPN is essential for protecting your digital privacy. Plenty of eyes are watching you every time you go online, and even incognito mode doesn't prevent that. Your internet service provider, your school or work's IT department, even your home router can track everything that you do. And that's where CyberGhost VPN comes in. Simply select one of their over 100 locations before you browse to encrypt and reroute all your traffic through their secure servers. This way, no one will ever know about your online activity. CyberGhost also unblocks games and content from over 40 streaming platforms like Amazon Prime, Netflix, and Disney+. And you can even score better deals online simply by changing your virtual location. Works on all major devices and operating systems: Windows, Mac OS, iOS, and Android. And you can protect up to 7 devices at the same time, which is perfect for sharing with friends and family. With my link in the description, you can get their best deal ever. Just $2.03 a month, plus 4 months free, which is 84% off. There's even a 45-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. It's a great product, I can definitely recommend it, and by signing up in my link in the description, you'll help me to create more videos like this one. And now let's get back to the video. We talked about all the other things Blender has done in the 4.4 update, but the biggest thing it's been working on is usability. This was the subject of Andrew Price, better known as Blender Guru's talk at BlenderCon last year. He talked about troubleshooting, how he spends hours every single week fixing issues inside of Blender, like why is this object disappearing, or why does it have artifacts? And he proposed a diagnostics system where Blender would basically highlight if an object has an irregular scale, overlapping faces, doubled vertices, or inverted normals. These are issues that every single Blender user will spend time fixing, and especially beginners who may not even know what's wrong or why or even how to fix it, which can be extremely frustrating. And this system is exactly what Blender added in the 4.4 update. It's not implemented in the exact same way that was proposed in the talk, but Blender will now tell you if an object has an irregular or negative scale. And you can leave face orientation on all the time, because proper face orientation is clear instead of blue, making it much easier to spot errors. Now you may hear that and say, that's not a big deal, I can check my own scale and face orientation, and you would be right. But there are two reasons why this is so impactful. Firstly, Blender is hard. Even though it's had roughly 100 million downloads in its history, in 2023 it only had 2.5 million monthly users. Most people quit. Now, no program is going to have 100% user retention, but I'll tell you, when I was following the donut tutorial for the first time and had no idea what I was doing, and something went wrong and didn't work like it did in the tutorial, and I had no idea why, that was the closest I came to quitting. And starting out, at least for me, that happened a lot. Because Blender has thousands of shortcuts and functions, so it's really easy to accidentally check a box or press a shortcut button and have no idea what you've done. So having a troubleshooting system is nice for veteran users. It might save some time. But for newbies who have no idea why their bevel isn't scaling properly, it's a lifeline. Now, maybe you're a cold-hearted cynic who doesn't care anything about new users, but the more users Blender has, the more donations it gets, which means the better it'll become. So for no other reason than selfishness, these quality of life troubleshooting changes would be very impactful. But you may hear all this and say, well, Blender only changed a couple of things in 4.4. That didn't really make much of a difference. It's not that much easier. And you would be right. And that's where the second reason why it's impactful comes in. If you go watch Andrew Price's talk on how to improve UI, there are a lot of good ideas. The first is viewport feedback, which is the one Blender started implementing in 4.4. In his talk, Andrew gives an example of this, and he did such a good job, I'll just play the clip.
And then this happened. Look what's going on. You zoom in, and they just started to randomly pop in and out of existence. So the solution to this problem was to apply scale. So this took 15 minutes. I've been using Blender for 20 years. You know? And on one hand, this is funny, it's relatable, but it's also frustrating, because you know who knew what the problem was the entire time? It was Blender, right? It knew enough to screw up the shading, but it didn't know enough to present that to me, the user, in a meaningful way that would help me diagnose this.
This is something we all deal with, and Blender 4.4 has taken the first steps to fix it. Yet, there are a lot of other usability issues inside of Blender. The small UI changes that we got in 4.4 didn't fix them all. But in his talk, Andrew mentioned that there is renewed interest in UI development, that they were very receptive to his ideas. Now, I don't want to over-sensationalize this. Blender is never going to be an easy program, but this is the first step in the right direction. The last time major resources, beyond just minor tweaks, were invested into UI development was in 2019 with the release of Blender 2.8. And there is an eloquent case to be made that 2.8 is the release that made Blender famous. In his Blender by the Numbers talk, Francesco said that 2019 was the first year Blender truly became popular. So his interest in Blender's UI is rekindled. What can we look forward to? Well, you should watch his full talk, but Andrew suggested a history list. Basically just a log that shows what actions you've taken, which is super helpful, especially when you accidentally press a key and don't know what you've done. It would allow you to see your past actions so you can fix anything you didn't intend to do. This would be a huge time saver, especially since Blender has thousands of shortcuts. It's really easy to accidentally press a button and have no idea what you did. But with the history list, we would be able to have a detailed log of every action. Now, this wasn't an official Blender announcement, but with the renewed interest in UI that Blender has expressed, we may see features like this in the near future. And if that's a future you want to help support, I would encourage any of you who are making money with Blender and haven't given back at all to just give back a small percentage of what you earn. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get the special discount CyberGhost VPN is offering you. It'll protect your data while you browse and give you full access to all the content on the internet for only $2.03 a month. Totally risk-free. Go check it out, link in the description. And thank you for watching.